Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin to Egypt today. The Russian President Vladimir Putin, this is actually his first visit in 10 years to Egypt. And during this visit, he discussed with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi many regional and international files, also talking about actually enhancing the cooperation in many fields between Russia and Egypt, notably in the military and economic fields. But before we start our discussion for tonight, let's check out this report regarding the Russian President Putin wrapping up his two-day visit on Tuesday, and we'll be right back with our distinguished guests.
Amid heightening tensions in the world, the growth of the global economic crisis and the imposition of sanctions by the West, it is as never before important for Russia to strengthen international political and business ties with its partners. One of such countries actively seeking a mutual benefiting partnership with Russia is Egypt, with which it has a long history of cooperation in all areas of relations. The visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin, which came a response to the visit paid by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Russia in August of 2014, is undoubtedly serving as a new impetus for the development and strengthening of the two ties. Recently, Egypt and Russia have undergone serious social and political changes, but the atmosphere of mutual trust and respect has always played a key role in the relationship between Moscow and Cairo. Currently, both countries are partners in bilateral affairs as well as on the international arena. This is not surprising if one recalls the glorious chapters of mutually benefiting partnership. These include the Aswan hydroelectric power station, Helwan Iron and Steel Works, an aluminium plant in Nag Hammadi, an Egyptian-Russian university in Cairo, amongst many others. Recently, Russia and Egypt have been actively resorting their relations, which inadvertently suffered as a result of the revolution and the following regime change in Egypt. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Moscow and Cairo were restoring their relations to the fullest extent, and the development of the economy goes along with the intensification of political contacts. It is growing in spite of the problems in the global economy. The leadership of Egypt, ambassador to Russia, Mohammed Badri, recently stated, saying that the current Egyptian-Russian relations are on the rise. His aide, this was a very important step for them, as speaking metaphorically, the most difficult flight stage for an aircraft is to take off. Today, the two countries' relations develop very harmoniously and they are promising. Both Russia and Egypt face the same task, the need to repel the cultural and ideological aggression of the West. In order to do this, both countries must stick together. They have a strong basis on which the two countries can build future relations. The friendly relations are very important for the development of cooperation between Russia and Egypt. Additionally, the non-interference in each other's internal affairs is very important, as well as respecting and honesty in relations. Russia has tremendous opportunities for investment in Egypt's economy, from infrastructure to high-tech. This trend will be an absolute priority in the development of bilateral relations in the near future. Egyptian leadership strives to create a good environment for foreign investments, but there's also a deep desire to create good and close business relationships. Exactly the need to build on the groundwork which was laid during the years of Soviet-Egyptian cooperation on those large investment projects that were created with the participation of Soviet foreign trade associations as well as Soviet enterprises.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and joining us here in the studio to shed more light on the visit by Russian President Vladimir Putin to Egypt. We're joined in the studio by Engineer Wael Turk, member of the syndicate of the industrial investors in Suez and Canal Line. And we're also joined by Mr. Negm, the political analyst and former diplomat. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Negm, first of all, this is the first visit by Russian President Vladimir Putin to Egypt in 10 years. It comes in the midst of a lot of political developments in the Middle East and the Arab region, a lot of political developments for Russia as well with the Ukraine crisis. What is the significance of such a visit right now?
Well, we are in front of a visit between two important countries that are seeking new relationship, new retake the relationships once again to higher levels after some time or some years of installment between the two sides because of the situation in Egypt. We have since 2011 we are in troubling situation here in Egypt, politically, economically, and security-wise as well. So Egypt, of course, is on a new track, trying to regain its position and its leadership in the Middle East. And of course, Russia was doing very well through the past years in also recuperating its position, geostrategic position in Euro-Asia. So we are in front of two important countries trying to enhance their relationship, trying to balance this equality in the international arena in the Middle East and east of Europe, of course. What's happening here in Syria is concerning the two countries, of course. What's happening also in Ukraine and other parts, war and terrorism, situation in Iran. All these things are very important for both countries. Russia is trying to regain more interest in the Middle East. They know they gained the Crimea region in the past year, so they are, of course, they have plans to distribute their presence and their forces once again in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean, and so on. The situation in Syria is very tense and very dangerous. They had, or they still have, military base, navy base in Tartus, in Syria. So with the situation in Syria, they are trying to go towards Egypt to find a solution or alternative for the desperate situation in Syria. If the situation in Syria will deteriorate more, I think the more safer solution for them or alternative would be Egypt. So they would try to expand in the Mediterranean and the Middle East. Of course, otherwise the economic aspects, the security aspects, the technology aspects. Also, Egypt is seeking technology for our first nuclear power station in Egypt. They have the technology, they have the interest, and we are looking for a new strategic relationship, cooperation between the two sides in the military exports from Russia to Egypt, technology cooperation between the two sides in nuclear power and in energy in general. They are the first petrol producer, the first gas producer, the third electricity producer in the whole world. So they have a lot of potentialities to give to Egypt, and also with Egypt with its new track, with our deception in the West in the past few months. So we would like towards the East, and especially Russia.
Yes. Engineer Turk, now last year Egypt signed with Russia a military arms deal worth around $3.5 billion that includes importing helicopters, a lot of air defense systems coming from Russia. And everyone expected that this will be the basis of the Egyptian-Russian cooperation in the coming phase, trying to diversify the military ammunition rather for the military coming from Russia, not just the United States. However, it's not the only thing. There are so many, there are different projects that have been signed, different memorandums of understanding signed during this visit between Egypt and Russia. Do you feel that such a visit, even though the president did go to Italy and France and China, and he really worked on actually encouraging the economic and trade ties internationally, do you feel that maybe the economic and trade relationship with Russia might be a little bit more special?
Our president have gone there, their president have came here, but the point that we have to work after this. We have to let these things come on the ground. Mm-hmm. If we see Russia is the fourth country to invest outside of Russia. The first is the United States, the second is Japan, then the third is China. In 2013, Russia have invested outside of Russia $95 billion. Mm-hmm. The total investment of all the companies which working in Egypt, not more than 70 million. So, and the accumulated in some countries come to, the accumulated investment in some countries